Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It's November 18th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And once again, it's pretty much sideways today. We traded up at first in the overnight, and then it was all downhill really from early, maybe 1 or 2 o'clock, just after midnight Central Time. It was all downhill until really we started going sideways, I'd say from this point on. So just after the opening, we were really kind of working sideways there. Obviously, it started over here, but you couldn't really confirm that until we bounced here this second time. You pretty much had an idea. We looked like we were ranging on this top, but until we bounced here again. Then, of course, once we broke higher, I would just look for a measured distance there. And you can see we got that. We pushed a little higher, and then we sold off, and we're still trading inside that now. The market actually has opened back up again. We're into the next day now. So really, this is, there's a little downward bias early, and then there was an upward bias from about 8:30 on. Uh, but it's still range-like, and you're still swinging above and below the EMA. So you can kind of trade this either way. But as you'll notice, it was mostly all shorts on the downhill, and it's mostly all longs on the uphill. There weren't really any good short setups here. Um, you had a possibility here. It was a little risky. Generally, since the trend was down and the bias was down on this little bounce here on this breakout, you just about want to wait on a lower high. Um, and when we're going up, you want to wait on a higher low generally, just to make sure that the correction is ended. So in other words, we're still making higher highs and higher lows. So yeah, if you'd have taken this trade, it would have worked. But it's a little risky taking it. And there's one right here too. Another trader took one right here, and theirs failed. Um, I think maybe his chart wasn't today. It was something similar to this though. A trader sent me. He says, how do I avoid that? Because it would look like a failed break higher. But the way you do it is you wait on a lower high. So like right here, you could have got short here and it still would have worked because this didn't go higher. You ended up with a lower high. And that just confirms that you're starting to, you're running out of steam, because you might run up here several times. You made a lower high here, it still worked, but notice we went higher yet again, and then finally you get a lower high and a failed second entry long. But I hope that makes sense. On these failed breakouts, wait on and you're looking to get short on a failure, wait on the lower high first, just to get a little more, just to be sure that the correction is ending and the breakout's going to fail and we're going to go back. It's probably going to fail regardless, but sometimes it'll push higher before it does fail. And even if it's going to go higher, generally it will fail first. So I didn't mark this lower high because the bar is just too long and you're right into all that support right there and the EMA, and I just didn't trust it. But and as you see it, you would have gotten burned if you try to get long or short below that big old bar. Instead, you want to get long there maybe. But anyway, I hope that's clear. I'm going to back out. We'll talk about the trades. You can see we're just pretty much sideways here. And early on, your target when we were bouncing here was to try to fill this gap on the daily chart. We filled that, and then once we started going higher, then you look for the measured move based on the width of the range here. And you see we got that. We actually pushed a little higher and had a failed breakout on the upside too. So, but let's back out. There's a trade here just right after 7 o'clock. If you catch this trade right here, and this is a perfect setup really. You're trending down and you get a first entry and then a second entry. Look how bearish that is. Second entry short. Just go short right there. And you don't know that it's going to do this, but that one trade and you could be done for the day if you catch a runner. And of course you make a little double bottom and you come up, and there's actually a low there, first entry, and then when it broke lower here, it's a second entry. Plus there's a little bit of a trend line and you get a close and a new high. I didn't put it on there, but you can see that little move up, close outside new high. And so you get another chance. That's another fairly decent trade. You probably wouldn't have got a runner on that one though. And then we run up first entry and you get another second entry. And this one actually broke higher first and then turned down. The short was one tick below this bar right here. If you waited on this one, it still would have worked, but you just can't go short down there that on a bar that big right into support. It's just too dangerous. And again, it would have ended up working, but you don't know that, and it's not worth risking it. So, and I wouldn't have risked the fact that we didn't take on off here. I wouldn't have risked any of these others either. You could look at this one as a failed second entry long, but not much room here. I wouldn't take that trade. And of course, we bounce, and you don't want to go long right into that midline, and then you want to hopefully wait till we get up here, and we never get back up there. There's a lower high right here, but that's a doji. And then you finally get your reversal pattern here in a big bearish bar, and you got enough room to get out, so I like that one. But again, notice your new high, pull back first entry, you're moving down, you push on through the EMA, pull back and test it, and you confirm that little trend line. Failed second entry long, just go short right there, big bearish bar. That's a nice little setup. And you don't get a long runner or anything, but still you get a quick, easy scalp. And then we bounce. And notice we make that double bottom there. And then you get a first entry and a second entry short. There's too much congestion there. Plus you got a possible trend line. You don't want to go short out of that right into that all that support. I don't have a line on there, but hopefully you can see that and understand why you don't go short out of that. Plus that's an inside bar. This is really your signal bar right here. And when it fails though and turns back up, it broke lower first. When it goes out the other side, just go long right there. Again, you don't know that it's going to keep going, and you would have probably had a runner on this one, but you figure you can at least get a nice scalp out of this. And if you do catch a bottom, which you did, you might ride this for a good ways. It's really tempting to go short right there on that failed break higher, because that's a failure out of the thing, and you're a good bit away from the EMA, way away from the EMA. But you still got that trend line working up there, and it's still holding. And you're better off to wait on a lower high. You might argue for that one just because it's so far away from the EMA and it's the first breakout. You may argue for that to be green because you might catch an important high right there. But most of the time, you want to wait on that lower high, and it's because you see what happens. We made another higher high. Same thing here as right here. You do have a break and a new high in place now. So now you got a little more reason to maybe say, hey, I'm still trying to be aggressive. I might catch an important high. But the better trade is to wait on the lower high, and you just can't take that one right there. Again, because it's right into all that support, and you see what happens. It bounces, but notice notice you got that low, and you got a failed second entry short there. But so when it broke higher, it was a failure, but I wouldn't take that one. That's just a little inside bar. But when it broke lower yet again and turned up and made a fairly bullish bar, if it breaks above there, we're probably going to rocket on up. It's probably going to be some people trapped in there. I wouldn't necessarily say that rocketed on up, but it shot on up pretty quickly. So I like that one. It's not a perfect setup because you're right there at the support resistance, and you're finding support across here, and you got a little double test there too. If you draw that, notice you made that low, come back once, twice. There's a lot of reasons to like that one. I still marked it green. It's a little bit congestive looking there, so works up. There's a failed second entry short there, but you don't want to go long right into that trend line. And that's how I got this trend line. I drew it off these highs. You could have got it off these lows, but I drew it off these highs when they started forming up here and just copied it and drug it down. And you can see we're working across here. This one is tempting. There's a double test, but there's not enough room to get out. We just came off the high. There's just not enough room even to the high of a possible range, but there's not enough room to the high of that trend channel line either. And you can see you would have just got trapped in there. Then you get a little failed break lower, nice bullish bar. Now you got enough room, plus you made that low, made one there, test it once, test it twice, test it again, a little failed break lower with multiple tests. I like that one. Again, you're better off, and the main reason I like this one without waiting on the high or low is the trend line, and we've already confirmed that trend line. This just further confirms it. and then, but here's your higher low, and just make sure you got enough room to get out there, which you just barely do. And both of those would have been good trades. And now you made your measured move up, and you got resistance off the measured move of the range. You got resistance off the trend channel line, and then you make a lower high. I like going short right there. You do have this trend line right here that hasn't been broken yet, and for that reason, because it's not a perfect signal bar, I made it green. Ends up working, and then we push up for another high, and that takes us into the 2 o'clock hour. We just didn't have much time left. So it was kind of a slow, not a lot of movement today, but it was a relatively easy day once you started. If you found this range earlier, you had to, it helps you understand what prices are doing here. They're trying to push. First, they're trying to get up here and fill this gap, which is what we were trying to do here. But once we kept going higher, you had to assume, hey, we're working on a measured move up. We're coming back to, notice how we never tested that breakout right there. We just shot straight on down. So prices are coming back to test that area. And that's what we're trying to do here. And they come back and test them, and you get that little failed breakout, and then we're headed lower again. And we ended up closing. Notice we just turned down once again off that same resistance area right there. So, pretty good day today, especially with this early trade right here. Nice, easy second entry short, big bearish bar. That's a perfect setup really there almost. And you get an easy runner, and you just ride this down. So, pretty good day. Not the best day. You got a little quiet right in here from about 9:45 to 11:30. It was a little quiet in there, and then of course there wasn't but a couple of trades after that. So most of your best trades were early this morning. And that's generally the way it is most days. Most of your best trades are in the AM, and not that you can't get a good trade in the afternoon. It just seems to be to me that your better trades are usually in the morning. There's more people trading, in my opinion. But anyway, that's what I saw today. I'm not going to beat around the bush with it. So we do have the Thanksgiving holidays coming up. I haven't decided what I'm going to be doing on those days. I haven't even looked at the calendar to see what trading days or what, but it should be next week, and generally Thanksgiving is on Thursday. And so I'm guessing the market will be closed Thursday, maybe even Friday too, and we may have an abbreviated day in there. I may take that whole week off. I just haven't decided yet, but we'll look at it towards the end of the week before we wrap it up. So, but I may take that whole week off. We'll just have to see. But I'm going to wrap it up for today. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.